Hello and welcome. This is Robert and Joy Arthur, Bethany Krause, along with our awesome team from North America and Europe. And this is the weekly leadership series that we do. Been doing this for many years now. And our guest speaker today is somebody we all hold near and dear to our hearts. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be an awesome session today, guys. That the title is Moms and Kids, the Health Crisis and Answers. So we're gonna be, that's good what you had it there. We'll be covering some of the reasons why we say it is a crisis, what's happening here right locally for Andrea and many of us, as well as globally, and share some insights with you from the journey that Andrea's been on over the years. Been on an amazing journey here, and also some candid anecdotal stories, and we're gonna have fun today. How's that sound, guys?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
So first of all, let me spotlight the right. Let me see if I can get her back here. I think we just lost her.
She disappeared.
I was about to spotlight her as the main video, and there we go. So while we're waiting for Andrea to get back with us, let me go ahead. Andrea, guys, has spent all of her life, starting early on as a yogi, a midwife, and then she got involved with health and wellness, holistic health, long before her journey began here with our wellness company of Isogenics. And she had already written several books. She was already journeying around the planet with her beautiful daughter, Journey. Her name is very apropos. And her son, his name is very appropriate too. His name is Quest. And her kids, I see your heads nodding, Bethany and Yvonne. Those of you who know her kids, aren't they amazing?
They really, really are. I mean, she couldn't have named them more appropriately.
Yeah, we always say the biggest compliment and the biggest insight to who and what a person is on the deep inner levels is look at their kids, look at their offspring, look at their legacy. And Andrea is a beautiful example of that legacy. And what else you want to say about Miss Andrea before she comes back on here?
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to send her a little message while we're doing that, just to make sure she realizes that she's
Let me do that while you share a couple of insights here.
Well, I've said this before, but it's always so funny to me how sometimes when you meet people, there's instant chemistry, and sometimes there isn't. And so it's so funny when we first met Andrea, and she was coming to Texas, and we were doing lots of meetings, and John Gray was involved, and it was really a fun, exciting time opening up that market, and Isogenics being so new and so young. And so we didn't have that sister synergy yet. It took us a couple of times. And so the beautiful thing is, as I got to know her more and more, I fell in love with her more and more, and saw the real person that she was on the inside. And so she truly is that sister from another mister now. And we've gone through lots of journeys together with the ups and downs that just kind of happen through life. And we've always been so able to have open and honest communication with each other. And so that's been a real treat for me.
It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So Bethany, anything else you want to say about Miss Andrea before we hopefully bring her back on?
Before we find her somewhere.
Exactly. Find her in Never Land. I know, Yvonne, you had the opportunity to visit with her as well. And while she was actually in Europe as well as here in North America. So I'd love to hear from you a couple of insights too as to what impact she's already making on you and your circle.
Yeah, I mean, Andrea's just lovely. Obviously you had kind of told me to connect with her when she came to the UK. And I did ensure that I did, and we hit it off straight away. She's just what I would call a beautiful soul. She just has a very beautiful soul. And I think that first day we were talking together, and then we all went out, the UK team, we went out for dinner with her that first evening, and at the end of it we kind of gave each other a hug, and she just said, there's just this connection there. Don't know what it is yet, but we'll kind of find out over time. And yeah, she just has a really beautiful soul, and is very genuine and is very real. You know, she is who she is, and I love that.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, and a shining example, I think, in terms of isogenics, in terms of, you know, her knowledge is deep and wide, and that's also been great for me in conversations and things.
I agree totally. So thank you, Yvonne. So while we're waiting for Andrea to join us again, this call is all about healthy moms, healthy kids. One of my questions for all of us to ask is, you know, what is the connection to high level nutrition and our health when it comes to we as grandparents, and Joy and I's case, parents are for the kids. And so I'm going to go to Jeannie. Jeannie, I'd love to get a couple of comments from you. Number one, just to be transparent with this, did you see a connection early on? Sorry, was that? Oh, Joy was hit me there. So I thought it was like, hey, look out. So number one, Jeannie, did you really see a connection with overall health for you and your growing kids at the time, and still growing?
Yes.
You did already. Okay.
Yes. And now I take predominantly most of my nutrition is isogenics, up to 3 shakes a day, and a very clean diet, and then everything else, most of everything else is isogenics, and my health is improving so fast, even more so now than it was even in the beginning, because I was kind of healthy then, and then I was really unhealthy because of my illness 4 years ago, and then now that I've incorporated a heavy amount of isogenics daily, my health is just, and the energy level more so even than before. So for me, it's a blessing, a gift of everything.
Yeah. If you, when you hug Jeannie, not if you hug Jeannie, but when, she's like hugging this little box of solid muscle.
Yes.
Her arms have definition. Her legs have definition. And I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Crazy good. Not crazy.
A friend of mine once suggested that it was my health challenges were probably of God's way of keeping me more grounded, because I still have so much energy at times. And she said, you know, it's probably a good thing, or you would rule the world. If you hadn't been had so many health challenges, which was a compliment. I took it as a compliment. Yes.
Yeah, you would have definitely stood in the face of what happened to Florida and said, be done. And that hurricane would have gone away. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So I'm assuming because you were already health conscious, so was Godwin, that you had already introduced Fallon, to healthy eating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fallon was already a really healthy, clean eater, but we did allow her treats like soda and stuff. But she went with us to all of the meetings here in Granbury with a lot of the leaders that came in from out of town to train. She on her own saw the value to isogenics at 10 and 11 and 12 and radically changed her food choices as well to even better than they already were, and to this day still consumes a lot of isogenics. She felt it made her smarter, gave her better grades, gave her better performance and more energy.
Yeah, so you saw results across the board with your daughter, who was already fairly health conscious but got that next level.
My dogs get isogenics also. I have
So welcome back, Andrea. We're so glad to have you. You must be warm because I see that you're fanning yourself.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah. So, one of the stories that I love, Andrea, that Jeannie tells is that, you talk to us so much, Andrea, about giving our children choices instead of being always, there are times a dictatorship is absolutely necessary, but in the food realm, giving them some choices. And, we find when we give them the choices, they do gravitate toward that healthy as we give them time for it to be their idea. And so I know that you speak a lot about that, when you're on stage. So please take the call. Would love that.
I'm happy to talk about that. It's pretty much anything with children. You know, there's this whole issue of children, even when they're 2 years old, they want to have control. That's that whole "no, you can't make me," kind of "you're not the boss of me" attitude that children get, and it's part of their separation, and it happens forever, you know, until it really never stops. Even as adults, we're like, "No, Mom, I'm 90. You can't tell me what to do. I'm a grown woman." And food is sometimes one of the only places that children have control, because they don't have to make it go in their mouth. And so when we force them or tell them they have to eat this, they have to eat that, oftentimes they'll exert that control of "no, I don't," or they'll throw up, or they'll have a temper tantrum, or whatever it is, because that's the only place they can, as I said, that they can maintain that control. So when we bring healthy food in, I mean, ideally, the best time to do it is from the time your baby's born. I mean, just to have healthy food in the house for all of us and healthy choices. That means a lot of things to a lot of different people as well. What is a healthy choice? You know, someone might think, well, it's a gluten-free cookie. Well, that could still be pretty crap food as well. So everyone has their own value of what that means. But it's really what our children are exposed to. And if you look at different cultures and you look at some of the foods that children eat around the world, some of those things are things we would never, ever, ever consider putting in our mouths. Fried bugs for, a regular meal. It's like, that's just not something we're going to do. And by the same token, they wouldn't eat some of our foods. So when we're bringing in healthy smoothies, we're bringing in isogenics, we're bringing in different things like that. When we tell our children, well, you've got to do this, you've got to do it, and you've got to do it now. Again, oftentimes a lot of children will use that as an opportunity to rebel. I don't want to do it. If you make it more of just a fun, you can try it if you want, you don't have to, I'm going to do it and it's here kind of an attitude, oftentimes they'll watch. It just depends on your child's personality, of course, but sometimes they'll just watch. And if it looks yummy, you might get them to take a taste. And if they like it, they'll continue. They may be the type of personality that says, I like it, but I'm not going to let you know that I like it.
Right.
And it's just kind of what kids are programmed. Some kids are programmed to do. So I always tell parents, make it a science project. Make it something fun. When you're bringing any healthy food home or isogenics, you can say, hey, I brought this new thing home, and I'd love for you to try it. I'd love your opinion. Kids are going to be happy to give you their opinion. And then if they try it and they go, yum, you're home free. If they say, ew, yuck, then ask them what would make it taste better. Some kids may have some ideas and some kids may just go, I don't know. And then that's where you can play and you can say, what do you think? Should we add rocks? Should we add mud? Should we add dog hair? I mean, just be ridiculous and see how many times they roll their eyes at that. And ask them again, what should we put in it? Be willing to take a little bit of shake. If we're speaking about isogenics specifically, add some weird things to it. Of course, no one's going to drink it. And be willing to throw it out just to make it fun. What that does is it takes the pressure off. It takes the whole idea of this is something good for you, you have to do it, off of them. And it makes it more palatable, so to speak, for the child. So you can do that with anything in life, with kids as well. Just make it light, make it more easier, and also to ask their opinion, because kids want to give their opinion. They want to have that control, even though we have a box that holds our religious and social and personal, mental, emotional, spiritual beliefs that our families, we hope, are contained in. But within that box, allowing room for movement and flexibility for the child on all levels will help with a better relationship all around.
Yeah, definitely. I love that part. When we met Bethany Krause, I'd never been so impressed in my life at how children ate. So she, from, early on, really taught them to eat healthy. I mean, her kids will eat you under the table for sushi. It's just crazy. And so it's so fun when I go and stay with them, and I'm going to stay with them in September, how when Bethany walks out the door, like they do this cheer first off, and they're like, Joy, could we just have go to the Dairy Queen? Could we have pizza? Could I have a soda?
And actually, hilarious. one of our recent trips, we all just for fun, for meanness actually, or for fun, we got shot in front of Taco Bell, wasn't it?
And it was some horrible.
It was some really bad junk food place, and we all took a picture, smiling, big in front of the fast food joint and text Bethany, and we got back she was playing along with it, but behind the scenes she was.
I was like, for real? My kids are eating there? Because honestly, somebody tried to take them to fast food once, and they refused to eat.
Yeah. So,
My kids were like 2 when they were young.
Yeah, I love so much how she has worked to really teach them about health and nutrition. So she has done a great example of what you're talking about.
That's wonderful, Bethany. And also to know, like I raised my children that way 35 years ago, and at some point your kids may rebel. And that may happen when they go off to college or whenever behind your back you may find that suddenly they're eating stuff you never thought they were eating. It happens, but once they have
doing it right now, actually.
Pardon me?
Lila's actually doing it right now, actually.
Yeah.
She's 13. Yeah.
It's actually normal. She has to do that because you could have raised her on complete junk food, and it might be the time where now she decides she's going vegan organic. You know, kids have to find themselves. We all have gone through this. You know, as adults, sometimes we still go through it. We have to find what we stand for and what we believe in and who we are. And part of that means differentiating and separating from our parents. Some kids do it literally in a violent way, and some kids do it in a very minimal way. Some don't do it till they're in their 20s. However it looks like, it doesn't have to be a mess, doesn't have to be a train wreck, and it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. But we have to know that children are going to differentiate and separate as they begin to learn who they are. What we can trust in almost all cases, and in my experience working with families for the last 35 years, is watching how children will come back to what they know. There might be a period of time, and it could be a long period of time, but eventually they come back. And that's the beauty of it. They've got these good values instilled in them from the very beginning. It's part of their DNA. It's part of their cellular makeup. And that is something that never goes away. And if we don't shame them, we don't make them wrong, we let them know that they can find balance, because that's part of I believe part of our job as a parent is to teach balance for children, one, by showing example of what that looks like. So there's that whole 80-20 theory or 90-10 theory, whatever you want to prescribe to. And it's, you can be perfect and you can have your kids eating perfect all the time for as long as we possibly can control that. And then at some point, when do they eat pizza, and when do they have a soda, or when do they splurge at Halloween? Is that okay? I'm not making a judgment about it. Each family, again, has to find what works for them and what works for the health of the child, the whole health of the whole family. But finding that there's room for movement. Let's play around here. Let's lighten up a little bit and look at what our options are. Because I'll tell you something, I've seen it way too often where kids grow up in households that are very rigid as far as rules, as far as food, for sure, the control around food. They go off to college, and these are the kids you find drunk in the street every night, literally after the parties, because they haven't learned self-control. They haven't learned how to fall down and pick themselves up again. They only know how to live within this sheltered environment. So we can work that into our parenting.
I was just
going to say we can work that into our parenting and into our food as well with kids.
I agree with that so much. And that is one thing I don't want to ever be, is I don't want to be rigid in that way. I say to my kids, as long as you have a shake a day, I don't care what you eat. You got to have your shake every day, no matter what, Lila's big thing right now is Takis. It's this disgusting bag of some sort of fried chips. They're so gross and horrible. But you said that so well, because you can't be rigid, because if you are, then they're going to rebel and they're going to end up being the kids drunk. And
Mm-hmm. Or you'll find bags of chips hidden in the closet in old coat pockets, because she's going to do it when you're not looking, or she'll find a way. Those are the same kids that sneak out. Those are the same, the food is tied into it's all about behavior, and it's all about what they believe and what they understand about themselves and self-responsibility, including having a shake. I mean, it's just a bigger picture, in my opinion.
I agree totally. And we see it in also on the spiritual journey as far as religion. If it's real tight, again, you see the expression going, out of the boundaries. So it's interesting that you're talking about how this all interplays with each other. That's a very needed topic, isn't it?
Very much.
And speaking of Bethany's comment, how she said, just have one shake a day for goodness sake. And so say somebody was watching this, even the recording of this, and we go out there and say, well, here's Isagenix. And I even called this topic, there is a health crisis going on. A lot of people see that as kind of a marketing ploy even. So number one, how can we honestly say there is a health crisis out there for especially our kids? And number two, which is I know a much bigger topic, but how can one simple 2 scoops of this thing that we call a shake or superfood, how can that really make a difference?
That's a really good question. So they're really it's 2 questions, but it really is one. And that is, making sure, so from the marketing idea, I mean, everyone says their shake is the best, or everyone says their restaurant's better than the others, their hamburger's better than the other. We can argue that till the cows come home, no pun intended, with our Isagenix shakes. But making sure that your children have at least 1 meal a day, ideally, all of their meals, but at least 1 meal a day that's going to feed their brain the nutrition that it needs is just giving them a leg up. It's that they're one step ahead of the game. And with Isagenix, I could go into all the statistics of everything, and I'm actually choosing not to on this call, Robert and Joy, because anyone can pick up any newspaper, any magazine, go online, and you can look at the stats around the world. We're not just talking North America anymore, about the diseases diseases, I should say, and health crises that people are experiencing, including our newborn babies. And so, we're looking at the cancer epidemic, the diabetes epidemic, the various arthritis epidemics, the different depression epidemics, the fact that they're giving Prozac to 2-year-olds. I mean, all of these things are just running rampant, and it's not getting better. It's actually getting worse. And if you look at children around the world that used to be thin, now they're round. Children are becoming round because of the fast food and the sodas and all the things that they're eating. So without getting into the exact stats of that, which I don't think really is what is of importance, if we use our eyes and we use our heart and we use our head, we can see, just by keeping those 3 things open, what's going on. And so if we know that the science behind an Isagenix shake, which has more bioavailable protein in a half of an Isagenix shake than an entire organic chicken breast, and we know that the ingredients in there, if we look at the science behind it, the studies that are documented, we see what it does to the brain. We see that it helps the serotonin reuptake of the brain. So when you give your child a shake for breakfast in the morning, and then they can have whatever other food they want if they still want that, they're getting the nutrition that's going to feed the cells in their body, that's going to feed their brains, that will allow them to function throughout the day, at least until their next, hopefully, healthful meal. And what we see instead is we see children that are eating waffles and pancakes and French toast and cereal and toast and bagels and that peanut butter on their bread, and the people are thinking, well, they're getting protein on their bread. They're getting crap. I don't care if that stuff is organic. It does nothing but put calories in the body, weigh the gut down, cause the blood and all the internal organs to work overtime to try to digest this stuff, and it doesn't feed the brain. So we see children in school who are either acting out because they're trying to stay awake, they're the class clowns because they're trying to stay ahead of the game, or they're falling asleep, spacing out, and not staying focused because their brains aren't working. So when you start giving your child an Isagenix shake in the morning, we see a difference in behavior and in their overall health, because we know it helps to boost their immune system. So why not give them a shake in the morning? And then, if you're doing the 90-10, 80-20, whatever, that will come into play.
Yeah. Wow. That was
a great explanation.
a lot of thoughts.
I'm only a little passionate about this stuff, not much.
Just a bit. So I would like to open up to I have a bunch of questions I could always ask you, but I want to open up to the group. Keep this call very practical, if you will, as Andrea was referring to. So I would like to all of you to think about your last few conversations with a new mom, or maybe one of your customers asking about their kids, or even your own kids. and what are some of the practical, whether it's communicating around the nutrition, how we can integrate that in a fun way into their lives, or even some of the challenges. So I'd like to, again, open the line again. Yvonne, Jeannie, Ford, Bethany, I'd love for you to think of some of the common challenges that Andrea could help us with, share some insight on.
Let's navigate through.
Yeah.
Oh, they're muted, honey.
They're muted
Yeah, see
individually.
that?
Yvonne's good.
Andrea, so I've not really had any, I don't think I've really spoken to that many mums in terms of their children at this point. But what I'm really interested to find out is why, what I don't understand is why we're not really supposed to or encouraged to share isogenics with children. What is all the stuff behind that?
Right. So in the various countries, including the UK, Yvonne, there are rules, a lot of rules and regulations put into place that we can't market nutritional foods to children. What the thought is behind that, your guess is as good as mine, because it makes no sense to me. Because if we can help children be healthy, then we're going to have a healthier society, which means we have less drugs. The insurance companies have to pay less. I mean, it's going to be a better spiral rather than a negative spiral. But these are the rules, and it's the same in the United States with isogenics here in North America. We're technically not supposed to promote isogenics to children. And in fact, the company right now as a whole, we've been working on this for I've been working for 15 years with them, but we've been working closely for the last couple of years on the possibility of creating a whole new marketing plan to create a children's program. But it's not going to look like our traditional isogenics packaging or anything like that. We've got to make it, even the languaging has to be different. Again, what's the thought behind that? We're just working with big pharma. We're working with big politics. We're working with ridiculous old laws, in my opinion, my humble opinion, ridiculous old laws that just are saying, no, we can't market to kids. But you want to sell them crap food on commercials on TV? Absolutely. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So it's okay to poison our children.
Yeah, because the poison perpetuates the whole medical profession, not to discount the medical profession. It does save lives. There's no doubt about it. And when it's necessary, we need it. And thank goodness we have it. But we start them very young on this cycle of needing sick care. And if we change that, what happens to the whole industry of sick care? That is being protected unbelievably around the world. And that's what we're fighting against.
Okay. Great, thank you.
So what do you do? I mean, what do you do while staying compliant? Because compliant is so important. We as isogenics representatives, it's our duty, it's our responsibility to keep our company and our teams and ourselves compliant.
Yes.
It's a tricky road. It's a tricky road.
Wow. Okay.
So we can't share, in the UK we can't share or we can't sell, whatever word you want to use, isogenics to kids. But what mommy doesn't have some food on their plate, and if their kid says, give me a bite, every mommy gives their kid a bite. So if your kids want to taste your shake, hey, why not?
Absolutely. I think, and also we are incredibly fortunate to have such a fantastic library of information. That I think even when certainly for me, when I meet people now, and of course, the obvious. but we are blessed with loads of fantastic information that certainly for me, when I've been talking to people generally, regardless of whether they're parents or not, is the resources are there to really help them develop their own understanding. As well as having conversations with people. So, I think that most mums will, well, if it's good for me, why won't it be good for my kid? Exactly. If I'm doing well on it, why wouldn't my kid do well on it? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's simply a matter of education. And, we're a 15-year-old company, and we've helped literally several million people. Actively, we have 600,000 people drinking our shakes, but all these stories around the kids and grandkids and even through pregnancy, they're all anecdotal, but the way in to impact the kids is obviously through the grandparents and parents. But so it's definitely a journey that we're on, Andrea, and thank you for helping us kind of make inroads into that and create some tools for that. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do though when it comes to, educating our parents.
Mm-hmm.
So many times as we have parents and grandparents come into Isagenix and begin to experience the system and the difference in how it makes them feel, it's not but a short amount of time until we get that question. Can my children drink these? Can my children have these? And, we, like you spoke about compliance, we always, always, always will stay in a compliant manner to be able to keep our company the legacy that it needs to be for our children and our grandchildren. And so I love how you said if it's on the plate, they're going to eat it. And so, we've had specific questions about, well, it says you can't do this under this age. And once again, we still remain very compliant. But I love your answer of, if it's on the plate, my goodness, kids eat it. So I love being able to say it that way.
Right. And there are a few products that really are, we need to honor those age appropriate labels that are on them because of the adaptogens, the herbs, the possible estrogenic effect that some of the products could have for children. So there are certain things that are not appropriate for pregnant or nursing moms. There's certain things that are not appropriate for children. And I think it's really important that we abide by that. I know there are a lot of people that skirt around it, or they talk to their doctor and their doctor says, I don't know what this is, but it's probably fine. It's always, you do what you want, of course. Right. But in my conversations, and you guys have heard me say this before, in my private conversations with John Anderson, our founder and formulator, he's told me that there's a few things, and they're in the book, they're on the no-fly list, so to speak. I think we need to honor that. Children under the age of 18 don't need to be taking ionics. As much as we know the benefits of that stress releaser and the mommy juice, they call it, it's a great product. It's really not for kids. The vitamins, the women's and men's essentials, it's not a vitamin for kids. We have our IsaKids vitamin. It's a fabulous vitamin for children. There are certain things that are just not age appropriate, just like you hopefully wouldn't give your 3-year-old a bottle of scotch. I mean, it's just not appropriate. So just to honor those things and know that there is some respect that needs to go along with the herbal formulas that make up our products.
Yes, I could not agree more.
Yeah, exactly. So, and through the years, I know you were already very grounded in nutrition and wellness, and you had spent so much energy, time. Your career path was already well along that journey, Andrea. So obviously along came Isagenix, 15, 16 years ago now. And along came different individuals, Dr. John Gray before and obviously during. You mentioned John Anderson, Jim Rhodes, Dr. Colgan, Dr. Paul Asiera now. So have there been, just in the last recent 15, 16 years, which is kind of a long span, was there 2 or 3 kind of epiphanies of you or kind of aha moments that, although you were grounded nutritionally, especially with your passion for moms and kids, that really kind of woke you up to the next level, and why Isagenix? I'd love for you to comment on that.
That's a good question. I've spent a lot of time with all of those people, speaking privately, individually, off the record. And really, there hasn't been any huge, to be perfectly honest, there hasn't been any huge epiphanies. What's been solidified, I'd use that word instead, is the power of this superfood nutrition compared to a lot of the other stuff that's available on the market, including our organic, healthy foods. And if nothing else, that's just been the consistent, I'm really trying to think this through, Robert, the consistent theory that has been locked in with every conversation with every one of my colleagues and scientists and anyone that I can sit with and talk to about isogenics. So that's really my answer. It's just, this is not just in my professional opinion, but in theirs as well, and the 50 scientists that Isogenics employs full time, this is the best superfood on the market today. And I see a lot of people coming in trying to rival what we have, right, and they're not able to succeed.
Yeah, because we're always going to have the new kid on the block, somebody, and you just said there's a lot of individuals who look at a successful company, like we are now with Isogenics, $1 billion plus a year now, going global, and they say, okay, what are they doing right? Let's just put together a similar theme, a similar direction, but they fall short in having all the background. Is that what I'm hearing, Andrea? They fall short in having, even down to how to make our foods, how to have a delivery system within our products. Like, it's not even just what's on the label, as some of those companies say, okay, look at my label. It's what in that actually gets into our cells. Mm-hmm. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, exactly. And I will tell you something. There was one epiphany that happened at Celebration, and it was it was the second biggest epiphany I've had in the company, because the first one was when they made our first round of kids products in the first year or two into the company, which they then took away. But that's when I started writing my books for the company, when everyone was saying, oh, we need this for our kids. And I thought, okay, I'm going to align cool communication with my nutritional skills and background and create some books for Isogenics. That was the first really big one. The second one was sitting 4 rows away from the 6'7" Tony Robbins. Uh-huh. And to have him on stage, and I know you mentioned all those incredible doctors, scientists, the names of Dr. Colgan and all of them that have such incredible knowledge and background and all of that. But I got goosebumps, sitting in front of Tony Robbins and having him, this man who has taught the world and works with hundreds of thousands of people at a time, one of the biggest influencers in our psychology in decades, to have Tony Robbins saying that our company his quote was, we're aligned in terms of our values, his company's and our company. He said, we're the 13th largest nutritional company in the world. And he said, we're still small enough for the opportunity to still be unlimited. And he spoke about our products. He said that his wife and a lot of her friends use our products. Tony Robbins doesn't ever endorse other people's products or other people's companies. Anyone who knows Tony knows that. And there he was on our stage, and he gave 4 endorsements during his 4-hour talk about our products and the integrity of our company. That, Robert, impressed the crap out of me.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody else on this line, this live line in the recording, and Joy's leaning forward. Joy said that was one of the most impactful sessions that. And Joy's, like all of us, Joy's been to many, many, many leadership and personal growth programs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I'm like you, Andrea. The fact that he would simply even take our stage was huge. That was huge in itself. And, I told Robert, just seeing the massiveness of what a large person he is. I mean, even down to his hands and how he uses his hands. And I just, he brought such, let me think how to say it, even a firmer belief that we were all sitting where we needed to be sitting with the right company during that time frame. So it's wonderful that we see it, because we all believe it in our heart that Isogenics is our path. I mean, we all, as we say, we have all drank the Kool-Aid, because we believe.
It's pretty awesome Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing Kool-Aid. And to stay on the path for 14, 15, 16 years has been huge. But to see someone else with the persona that he has and the clout that he carries come in and take our stage and say the things that he said, I'm like you, I had chill bumps all over, that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was where this was home. This is home, continues to be home. Yeah.
Exactly.
Haven't you seen, Andrea? I know I listed individuals on the scientific nutritional side, but through the years, in all different subjects and backgrounds, we continue to attract these brilliant minds. And not just brilliant, but heart-centered, core value-based, integrity-based individuals to our mission, as you said, the core values. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be probably a wonderful note to end on, is because even more so in this day and age, there are smoke and mirrors, and people can actually portray almost anybody and anything, and a company can actually create all kinds of things, whether it's true or false. So is Isagenix, I know for all of us, we kind of know this, but I want you to affirm this, but, is this company the real thing? And, why align yourself, with this company? What sets us apart? We've already touched on this, but I want you to kind of dig a little deeper with that.
And I do have one other question for you that would be your wrap-up question.
Okay.
So I have one other question before the wrap-up question. Okay. Because this is just so true for all of us. So what have you seen happen with moms who put their nutrition and their fitness priorities on the back burner? And the reason I ask you that question,
the pain,
yeah, is because I think as moms and wives and grandparents and all of that, there are some days it is harder and harder to get even, and our kids don't live in our house full time anymore.
Let's be real. Last night it was 9:30.
Yeah, 9:30. I was in the pool getting my cardio.
You drugged me in there with you. We were doing cardio in the swimming pool at 9:30 last night. So
I'm on this 14-day challenge with Lori Harder. And so, the fact that I would have to not submit a picture that day and say that I didn't get it done I just couldn't do that. And so it was 9:30 and I said, Robert, I have to get this cardio in, and it was still hot in the desert. So what we had planned to do, we weren't able to do. So I dragged him to the swimming pool. And so if I struggle with that, I know that other moms have to struggle with that. So give us some words of wisdom on that, please.
It's a question of priority, and it's a question of belief, Joy. And that's such a good picture that you painted about really getting in the pool and doing what you have to do no matter what time it is. And there are a lot of moms out there that are run ragged. They're single moms. They've got partners. They've got multiple kids. They've got a job, another job. Today, it's very difficult. There's so much going on. And even if you're a stay-at-home mom, there's still so much going on with managing the household and the technology that comes in at us, always Facebook and all this stuff that's always bombarding our brains. And we can make excuses for anything. We can make excuses for anything and say, we don't have time. We have 24 hours in a day, and it depends on us how we choose to manage it. And if you understand the importance of nutrition, we've been saying since the 60s, you are what you eat. And we know even more today, the science behind that. Now we've got the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association. We've got all these different big medical associations agreeing with that philosophy. This is just something we have to make time for. It's a choice. Everything, luckily we live in the free world and we get to make these choices. The question is, do we make them? Yes, you got in the pool and you pulled your beloved in there with you because you want to prolong your lives and be the best you can as we all age gracefully. And that starts from the time before we even conceive. It's creating the perfect environment for a baby to cook and be born. And then it's creating the perfect environment so that the baby has the best breast milk. It's creating the perfect environment for the children to eat, which is helping their bodies form and grow into the human that they are and they are becoming. So we have the same, as I said, we have the same hours in every single day. How we choose to use that, time is really up to each one of us. And if we don't make food a priority, healthy food a priority, not just isogenics, but all the other things we put in our mouth, all the other things we put in our mind thought-wise, all the other things we carry in our heart, and the way we are in the world and the way we act towards other humans will affect us as we grow, as we age, gracefully or not. It's just what's going to happen no matter what. So why not get in the pool at 9:30 and say, I'm doing this, darn it. So I'm going to feed my kids healthy. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time today, but I prepared something when I had an extra half hour, and I can pull that out for the kids as opposed to drive through a fast food restaurant or a fast drive-through.
Well, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And many of us on this line, Andrea, I mean, because we didn't make nutrition a priority, you know my story. I was chronically ill for many years, wiped out my adrenal, my immune system. Bethany had some kind of energy and different issues. I know Yvonne did. Jeannie, thank goodness this came along for Jeannie, because she's had multiple life-threatening surgeries starting at birth. So, and Andrea, you yourself had many health challenges, and that nutrition played a key role in. So, yeah, it's kind of staring at us in the face as far as what's on the other end of that.
We just always have to remember that we have choice. And it's what we choose to do with every minute of every day. It's really, and I know people are going to say, yeah, but I work 3 jobs and I've got 5 kids and blah, blah, blah. I get it. I hear you. I actually hear you. And how are we going to make that work?
Yeah.
How are we going to make it work? I've got to plug in my phone here.
So true. So in summary, again, love to touch on the fact that on the legacy perspective, on the core value, where we'll be in 50 years. I'd love for you to touch on that in closing here.
I don't know where any of us will be in 50 or 15 years, Robert, so I can't
our grandkids anyway.
Really answer that. Who knows? We know that, life happens every day and all kinds of crazy things happen to us in life. And so, which is why I think it's not even projecting necessarily. You're just getting a raw side of me today, guys, as opposed to a statistical side. Instead of projecting, well, here are my goals in 5 years. Here are my goals in 10 years. It's like, what is your goal today? What are you wanting to achieve today? Joy wanted to get her cardio in so much that at 9:30 last night, she pulled her beloved into the pool and she got her cardio in. She chose her goal yesterday. Today, we choose the goal today. Because oftentimes we set these goals, we look at the future and we go, oh, I'm going to do this in 5 years, and we don't do it, then we beat ourselves up and we do everything to make ourselves feel bad because we didn't reach those goals. Isogenics is here to stay. Jim and Kathy, Journey was just with them. My daughter was just with them up at their house in Tahoe yesterday, spending just some quality family time with them. And, they didn't talk a lot about isogenics, but the little bit they talked was about the legacy. This company is only going to continue to get better. If we look at where we're at 15 years later than where we all were when we all started, we look at the progression, we look at the benchmarks. This company just keeps getting better, and we're very fortunate. We're with a company that's in the black. We're not in debt. We're not trying to force things because we have to get ahead. We're with people who are guiding us to the next level of where this company is going to go. And Eric Hoover just made a statement that Isogenics is going to be a household name within the next few years. That's their projected goal. And if you look at every single goal Isogenics has put out there from day one, they've achieved it within a very short period of time, whether it's a little bit longer than what they said or right on track. They keep achieving their goal. So guys, if we don't share this with people now, somebody else will. This company is here to stay. Where it's going to be in 15 years, who knows? But I've been told by some inside people, don't wait 15 years. Don't wait. You want to do it. You want to create your success now. You want to get in the pool and get your cardio done today.
Thank you.
That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we love you, Andrea.
Thank you so much.
And we're very grateful for you.
You're so welcome.
Express your gratitude, please. 1, 2, 3.
Love you, Andrea. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks for letting me be raw today.
Yeah, you bet, always.
Love you guys.
Here comes Isogenics.
Bye.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Isogenics. Woo! Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.